for our special guest, you probably know him primarily as the director of classics, from Mean Streets and Taxi Driver through Gangs of New York and The Departed and may I say that tonight, for me, he is more of a cinephile and educator, the person who made my a personal journey with Martin Scorsese for American movies in '95, and my voyage to Italy 4 years later. And most importantly, please be aware that he created, in 2014, masterpieces of Polish cinema. He handpicked 21 films. Thanks to those films, by the way, I was able to see finally Wojciech Haas's classic Saragossa manuscript and the Hourglass Sanatorium on a big screen. That enabled me to finish my book on Haas, tomorrow night book signing at MoMA and introducing How to Be Loved. And I'm very grateful that Martin Scorsese wrote a blurb, an endorsement for that book. How many reasons we have to be grateful to this man, Martin Scorsese.
Thank you so much. Please sit. You know, it's an honor to be here, and to talk a little about Andrzej Wajda and his work. You know, I first became aware of his films when I saw. I mean, look, I couldn't really begin to try to encapsulate everything he's done, to sum up what he's done in a few words that I have, in a few minutes I have tonight, but I'm going to try. The breadth of his work, the subject matter, of course, for me was always, it still is startling and prodigious. It spans, many of you know, it spans work in the theater to interpretations of great Polish literature, film and TV based on Dostoevsky and Shakespeare and Conrad, and on and on. My first experience was, I think, around 1962, down in 15th Street. There was a small theater called Fifth Avenue Cinema. It's NYU now. Everything is down there. It's NYU. They were showing this film, Ashes and Diamonds, and I went in. I think it was around 1962, and I'd started classes at Washington Square College at that time. It was called. It wasn't really NYU School of the Arts. It didn't exist. But there were some film classes at first, film history. But I saw this picture, Ashes and Diamonds, on the screen, and the impact became so strong that to this day it's part of the language of certainly the films I make, if not my life, really. And for example, in Mean Streets, there's at least 3 to 4 direct references to Ashes and Diamonds that even friends of mine like Paul Schrader picked up. Oh, Ashes and Diamonds, look, it's over there. Harvey Keitel's sunglasses are Chabulski's in... if you look at the film again, they are the glasses. Raging Bull, the whole picture reflects the impact of Ashes and Diamonds. And by the time we were editing Raging Bull, Thelma Schoonmaker and I were in an apartment on 57th Street, and I was able to get a 3/4-inch video of Ashes and Diamonds. And I played it. We edited the film at night, so I played it at night, and I'd look at images and watch how he moved the camera, what he was doing with the faces and the people. And it inspired us while we're editing the film, and I even have pictures to prove it, actually, in the editing room. I showed it to Andre. And then even Departed. Departed, I screened the picture on a big screen for Leo DiCaprio, for the spirit and the connection of Chabulski's Mitchell, you know, to Leo DiCaprio's Billy in Departed, who is just as doomed and is just at that moment in his life finds love, and he's finished. And he can't get the same thing that happens to Chabulski in the picture. He looked at me. He had never seen Chabulski. So, that guy is really good. I said, yeah. I mean, over the years, I've seen so much Polish cinema, and I always wondered why. Well, think about it. Why is it such a strong impression? What is it about the vision of Polish cinema, and in this case, but Andrzej Wajda's eye and his mind continues to inspire me. back in, again, Washington Square College, 1962, there was a professor in a cinema studies class who gave us an exam. It was called a plasticity exam. And that exam was the one that was used at the time, could still be, I'm not quite sure, at Butch, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, film school. We used to say Lutz, I think. And we were taught that Butch was the best film school in the world. This was the opinion. This is what we wanted to aspire to as a film school, by the way, before School of the Arts began. And in this plasticity exam, and by the way, I was there a few years ago, and the people coming out of there are remarkable, and which certainly know the directors, but also the cinematographers. But in this exam, they had questions like draw a still life, and draw a human figure, describe shots in a scene that create tension, make a drawing with abstract colors, draw a geometric pattern in 3D, draw 2 frames to show how a director has communicated time and space with a single cut. We would draw these on index cards, pictures. Draw a figure isolated in a frame, trapped in a frame. Draw your room in black and white, and draw your room in color. Same thing. Draw, and this was an interesting one, draw a film frame and describe the scene's emotional impact. And for that, I chose Ashes and Diamonds. And the scene I drew was a scene in the bombed-out church in which Chabulski unveils unwraps the dead bodies on the slabs in front of the altar. It gave me a B on the written description, but I think it did better on the drawing. But that was because the original imagery of the scene was so powerful that it can only be expressed visually. And I tried my best, but it's really Vida's image. It's really his image. I just really copied it from memory, by the way. At that time, there was no video. And if the film played in the theater for a few days, that's it. You had to go back several times to see it if you could do that. So from memory, I think we were pretty close. I think it shows that the power of films like Ashes and Diamonds, what they have for me, and what Polish national cinema really represents for me. Not only the work of Vida, of course, but all the other extraordinary filmmakers that came out of Poland. And I don't want to get started to start to mention names, because then we won't stop. But there are so many great ones. I really find it's a cinema of personal vision, social commitment, and poetic responsibility, and sets a high standard for all of us. I mean, I keep thinking about what is it, all the components of the filmmaking that Polish cinema it doesn't just play out on a screen. It commands attention, and it's the use of lenses, particularly in the 60s, 50s and 60s and early 70s, the use of wide-angle lenses, I think. The compositions, which are graphic and strong, and camera movement, the authority of the image, its power and its poetry. Different from other countries in that area. They're very different from, of course, at that time we were seeing films coming from France and Italy, all the new wave films, but also eventually the Czech films, Hungarian, but it's very different. It's very unique in of itself. At times a brutal spirituality, strong. Last night I was fooling around with these. I had these discs. I'm doing, supposedly making a film, and I found a disc, a CD, a DVD of something, 2 short films, Polish short films that were sent to me. I may mispronounce the name, sorry. Lutoslawski, the musician, the composer. And I put it on. I said, "What is this?" And I put it on, and this thing, Warsaw Suite, comes up, and I couldn't turn it off. I mean, it was about 12 midnight. You know, it's a short film, but the images were so powerful and so arresting. Again, this is, I think, made in the late 40s. And so that, again, is kind of proof. I was doing other things. I put it in there, and this came up. I had to watch it. You know? I do feel that in the films from Poland, there's a struggle for expression, which makes itself evident. You get the sense, you know, they're saying something. The filmmakers are trying to say something with the story and the character. the characters, the metaphorical, at times surrealistic images, trying to break loose from the prison in which the human spirit finds itself trapped. I did get to meet Andre Vajda a number of times since the 70s, actually. The first time I met him, 1977, Los Angeles. It was a dinner for the people who were nominated for the Academy Awards, and for some reason I was there. It was Taxi Driver, I think, but the film was. I wasn't nominated, but I got there anyway at the dinner, and he was there. He was there for Promised Land. Yeah. So I got to meet him for a few seconds. He was sitting at a table with George Q. Gore, the great director, and Mae West. And over the years I got to meet him. We had dinner with him and his wife, and some really wonderful correspondence. And last time I saw him was in Warsaw, and it was in he had just seen the 3D film Hugo that we did, and he also gave me as a gift his original storyboard of the moment at the end of Ashes and Diamonds, where Chabulski finds himself behind the sheet, and he puts his hand there, and the blood pours out. This takes me to the film tonight, After Image, the artist Stravinsky. There's something about the statement he makes at the beginning of the film, right, which is, I'm going to paraphrase. He says that the image has to be what you absorb, right? I mean, you gaze at something, you look at something, you get a reflection in your eye, and the after image remains in the eye, a trace of its forms, a trace of its form, right? The colors we see inside the eye usually are the opposite of the color of the object. And he said, because a person only sees what he is aware of. The point, I think, is this. In order to express what you're aware of as an artist, you have to be free. So you must have freedom. And this film, for me, is like a culmination of that struggle for freedom of expression, not only of Andre Vajda, but of Polish cinema and culture, and of Poland itself. In Vajda's words, quote, the impertinent freedom of creativity of cinema, unquote. So, After Image for me is a fitting, moving, disturbing, yet beautiful final work of this master artist, Andre Vajda. Thank you.
One of the best friends Polish cinema has ever had. You're about to see a short clip from the Vajda School before we begin with After Image. See you later.